Is recording this, and the beauty of what she's doing is that our Rotary E-Club, which has members all over the country, will be able to benefit from today's proceedings, and thank you, Tiffany, for doing that. She has skills that some of us that are much older don't even think about having, so thank you, Tiffany.
Don't want to have.
You've heard that once or twice, right? Today's topic is one of vital importance to every one of us in whatever organization we're in, or whatever church we're in, or whatever group that we're in. Membership is the deal. And so for you all, the things that we want to go over and talk about are, just some general comments, and then want to talk about attraction, how you attract new members. How then you create a positive experience for your club members, because they are your most important asset. And then how you organize for growth, how you engage your members, and then finally, retention. If we bring in 100 new members and we have 100 people go out the back door a year later, we are no better. So retention is a big deal. And I will send you all of this, so if you want to make general notes, that's fine. We will have discussion. I'm hoping that today will be a lot of that. So y'all get ready and buckle your seatbelts, and we're going to go fast. So, general.
Carroll?
Yes?
Are the lights turned down because of
They are, because it washes this out.
Gotcha.
Do you need more lights?
It's just dark.
Okay. I'd rather not, because otherwise you won't be able to see. So she has enough light for the video, but if you want to move right under the light, they've got a seat right here.
No, it's just more like happiness.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
It's just dull.
All right, I'm going to try to charge you up and get you going. All right, if you're in business, think about capitalization. What is capitalization, and what does it mean to be undercapitalized? Anybody in banking?
I have no working capital.
Okay, you have no working capital. Define working capital real quick.
What it takes to keep the doors open and the wheels running.
Okay, in the financial world, it's money, right? If you're undercapitalized, you're constrained. You don't have the wherewithal to do what you need to do, right? Agreed.
No progress.
No progress. You can't make progress, can't move forward. So think about humans as capital. Here's your thought. As a Rotarian, your members are your capitalization. They are your energy. They are your capabilities. They are what it takes for you all to accomplish what you want to accomplish in Rotary. So if you are well capitalized, you're in great shape. If you are struggling, we need to talk about that. And we need to talk about why that might be so. I think a lot of today's presentation will help you to think internally what's going on. We don't have time for everyone to share everything today, but I want you to be thinking internally, and then to take this presentation and a lot of these questions back to your board so that you all can talk about it after a while. We want to talk about a number of different things for you to be thinking about. And then let's just move forward. Attraction is one of those key things. We don't talk about recruiting in Rotary. We talk about attraction, attracting this human capital that we're talking about. So here's one for getting us started. What is it about your club that you believe is magnetic, that pulls people to you? What are you most proud of? Let's just start there. Somebody help us to get going. Programs? Yeah, I have a new Rotarian in our club, and he's never been in Rotary before, and he said he's learning so much about so many different subjects and topics that it's really of value to him to be there. Okay, so programs are a good thing. What else?
Cool.
Service? Okay, Diane, in what way? What kind of?
Serving your community, like
Okay.
service projects.
Okay. I would submit to you that if your Rotary Club was not there in your community, there would be a giant hole. There are many things that you all do and you accomplish that if you were not there, your community would be less viable and less progressive and less well taken care of in a lot of different ways. Landon, you started to say something?
I was gonna say culture. Our atmosphere in our club meetings is
Okay.
people like being around.
He's a breakfast club. If you ever want to go to an energetic place, go to a breakfast club because that's your early riser extroverts, right? So, yeah, your club is one of those that you walk in and there's one of that supercharged positive atmosphere and a welcoming atmosphere too. I'll just say that for you. Many of you share that. Others, another thought? Yes.
But our club in particular, the Rotary Club of Fowler, AKA the Downtown Rotary Club, we can point out the rich history since 1920 with potential members.
Yep.
And we can look at our folks who have been presidents over the years.
Yep.
In fact, we've had Dr. Dan Edwards has done presentations about our past presidents since the 1920, and they were always the movers and shakers in
Yep.
Fowler.
Yep.
Lately, we've of course had women, but mostly back in those days.
Who are movers and shakers too, I will say.
Exactly. But we can point out that.
All right.
What we had going.
Good. All right. So it's who have made a difference in your community. Your Rotary Club is full of people like that, both from your present, but also your legacy way back behind. Well, legacy going forward, but your history in your community. All right. Have you done your health check? If you go to My Rotary, which is the Rotary International website, and you type in health check, there is a multi-page document where you can go down through a checklist and assess your club. I would encourage you to do it. You can go to the district website, which is rotary5830.org, and on the district website, you can find this health check among forms and documents and information. Forms and information, I believe it's under that tab.
It is.
Okay, and so if you can't find it, Shirley Penix Evans or me or any of us, it's right there on the home page on the Rotary District website. Some people call it Club Runner, District Club Runner, for another way of describing it, but just look there. If you want to really assess who you are, where you are, regardless of size, and what you're doing, and how that kind of stacks up, this checklist is really, really helpful. So, here's a really key. How do you know and how do you determine who you desire as members? Anybody have a thought about that? Who is it that you really want to be a member of your club? What attributes do they bring to the table? The ones you really want.
Servant leadership.
Servant leadership. Energy like Karen.
Humanitarian.
Do what?
I said humanitarian.
Humanitarian, somebody that cares about others. Rotary is all about service. Rotary is all about helping others. You can look down through the 7 areas of focus, and there's a whole template of areas that we serve all across the world, both in your community and internationally. Quick story. I was the president in 1983 of a small club in Longview South. We had about 30 members, and we caught fire, and we got started in doing things, and we were the fastest growing club in District 5830. As my year ended, we had about 85 members. Now here's the problem. 2 years after that, it did this, and then it was right back down to about 30, 35. Because we didn't focus on really who it was that we were trying to attract. We just wanted folks with a pulse. It was a mistake. And so those people, because we either didn't get them engaged, we didn't think about retention, we grew fast, and then the club went this way and now is no longer. And Dareth and I were in that club. The club aged out and could not attract younger people who would stick and stay. And they finally got tired and they turned in their charter. Sad. Happens. It's happened to not only that club, but a number of others. Many that were exciting and aspiring to be great and do really interesting things. Another club in Longview was that way, the Longview Midtown Club. And They met twice a month, and then they did service projects on the other weeks. And they were a young group, but somehow they just they got tired and they couldn't find people that wanted to lead them. And so they got tired of rotating the same people through the same jobs, and they went out of business. So this is very important for you to think about, is who is it that we're attracting, and do they have the kinds of attributes that you and your club board desire to keep you viable and keep your club moving. Demographics, we talked a little bit in there a moment ago. That has been politicized, and it shouldn't be, because we are stronger the more diverse we are. We are stronger, we're certainly stronger because of the gender change that was, Rotary fought it all the way to the Supreme Court. If you've heard my Rotary 101 presentation, the leaders of Rotary wanted it to be an old man's club, and they wanted it to remain that way, and they took it all the way to the Supreme Court. And we're told, no, that's not the idea. And so we're so much better, but we also need to reflect ethnicity in our clubs. We need our clubs to look like our communities, and and age. There's that whole part of that demographic. We don't all need to be 71 years old.
Is that the truth?
I'll just say it. We need that next echelon of leaders that we have mentored and trained and brought along and are ready to take the reins and move. So think about your club's demographics. We talked about already this attribute of successful Rotarians: caring for others, energy, enthusiasm, I would say organization, ability to lead others. Rotary is a great training ground because all of those sorts of things are what come out of getting jobs in Rotary and doing those successfully. And before you know it, you're standing in front of crowds of people many of you have just met, and you're not intimidated by that, and hopefully you have something worthy of people listening to because of the training that Rotary has afforded us. Have you thought about other ways that you might find and target prospective Rotarians in your community? And we had one here that I just ran past, which is this: have you looked down through your Chamber of Commerce list? Because that often has some of your newest businesses in town that have just joined the Chamber in order to get exposure and also to get, connections, to make friendships, to make, Paul Harris did it. He started Rotary in Chicago because he wanted to have other colleagues in business like himself. He wanted to meet them, he wanted those contacts, and so Rotary took off and grew in a dramatic way because they targeted other leaders. So think about how you're targeting and trying to find others. It could be church members, yes.
How do y'all feel about this? It seems like in our club that, we attract young people.
Okay.
They tend to stay, it seems like a year or two.
Okay.
I think it's a combination of the cost of being in Rotary.
Can be a barrier.
Yes, and at a young age.
Yep.
And I think also I think they're looking to network.
Okay.
More than like service above self. And I think they go to other organizations that they feel like the Chamber of Commerce or like Tyler Young Professionals.
Yes.
As a networking organization. I think they come to our club sometimes, not all of them, and they see that we're not, we are that way, but that's not our main goal.
Okay.
Is to network. How do y'all feel about that? How do you approach that?
Just kind of throw that up into the group. That's a very, very important question.
Are any clubs doing any kind of tiered membership structure for fees to attract a younger professional who might not be able to afford the larger fees? Karen and I were speaking a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about paying a young person's membership for the first year to be the public image person, because they know how to do all of that.
Yep.
Okay.
Great idea. We've done that.
You all done that in Texarkana?
We haven't done it. We've talked about it.
Yeah. The Henderson Club did that. They took care of the dues for the first 6 months or so for new, younger members who might not have the wherewithal. Having their businesses also sponsor them is another
That's
method.
another, corporate memberships is absolutely a delightful way to do it, because
Right.
then 3 or 4 or 5 people from the company, depending on your bylaws and how you structure it, can become members of the
Sure.
club, and that gives the young member the opportunity to attend.
Right.
I mean-
You can move from head to heart.
Yep.
Once they get engaged.
I wouldn't be here if my boss or my company hadn't sponsored me.
Yeah.
in Rotary. I wouldn't have been able to pay it.
Yeah. I had a leader in my company who said, come go to Rotary with me. I didn't know anything about Rotary. A year later, I was the club secretary. A year after that, I became club president. Wow, I mean, it's a whirlwind, it can
For the
be.
younger folks, though, I do think that inviting them to social engagement first,
Yep.
as opposed to a club meeting, you know,
Okay.
where we're doing club programming, that kind of piece, can be a great entree, so that they figure out we're not the Illuminati and, you know, all these other crazy things,
Yep.
that, you know, young thing.
Has Rotary
Is.
Has Rotary International, Carroll, have they, done any statistical evaluation of that situation?
They
Because
have.
it seems to be prevalent.
They have. It is a very prevalent thing of what our gentleman just described, that often there are 3 steps or 3 phases of Rotary. When you come in, it's it's attraction, it's making contacts, it's learning people's names in the community, it's learning who our other leaders are in the community, getting plugged in, especially for people that are moved into the community or new. There's a second phase in Rotary, though, as people begin to age and if we can retain them long enough, there is that part about wanting to do something that is bigger and larger than yourself, something that matters. Why are we on this planet? Are we doing something that is that will last and will be something that we leave behind us, that we can think about, that we were a part of? And that's a heart thing. And then for some of our older members who love to sit at the same table and you can't break them up, if you wanted to, they'll walk out the door. If you try to get them to sit with other, what are they doing? They're these deep and enduring and abiding friendships that have been for decades, and they want to check up on each other. They want to hear how their doctor's appointment went, the last one, and you know, all the other kinds of things that are part of being long, enduring friends. That's what we talk about. It's how are you doing? How's life? How are your grandchildren? All that stuff. So there are these 3 kind of phases. None of them are a negative. They're not. Some of your older members may have the wherewithal to write a check, a big check, to help support the kinds of things that your club is doing. If you're young and you're just starting out in your career, you can't do that. So we need all sorts of people, but we need to be able to engage all of those different groups and keep them engaged, and that's our challenge.
I think you're exactly right. I think another, if I can expand on the point I was talking about.
Okay.
Folks, another thing I've heard, people who have been in Rotary, is that we're always asking for money.
True.
And we do, unashamedly. Unashamedly.
Right. And once again, going back, they were just looking for a networking organization, not particularly organization that they can write checks.
Right, right.
So I don't know how we address that. I don't know the deal.
So I think you've heard some thoughts about we could have maybe the person that sponsored them to help maybe defray some of those costs. If you want to get them started in the Rotary Foundation, somebody makes them a Paul Harris Fellow. Someone contributes in their name $100 to make them what is the term we call it? Jet lag. Sustaining, yeah, that too. Every Rotarian every year, and then the $100 contribution level.
I apologize, and one final comment, that if young people are not allowed to engage, or newer members, regardless of age, are not allowed to engage in the leadership of the club, they won't stay.
Good.
If it's held with that, the second or third generation, or the second or third phase, folks,
Yep.
and they're not brought on board as a, project leader, or given the opportunity to
Yeah.
actually make a difference in the club.
So nice segue. We're going to talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for that. So let's kind of move now to another slide, and that is, how do we create positive experiences for our club members? So we talked about already what is it that's most satisfying to you. What is most satisfying to you may not be the most satisfying to someone else. Okay? Someone else may have a burning passion for something, and if we're not addressing that burning passion in Rotary in some kind of a service possibility, we might lose them. If all we do is ask them for money, we might lose them. So how is it that you promote yourself in your community? Some of your clubs are well known, you're vibrant, you're active, you're growing. Some others are barely hanging on around the district, I'll just say it. Or like the one that I described, they've peaked and they've not kept going, and they've not thought about who is it that we are and what's our vision for ourselves, and how do we look to create positive experiences for this human capital that are our members. You can lose it. You can lose it rather quickly. A trickle can become a flood, and none of us want to see that happen. So in a very positive way, do you have things, if you're in sales, what is that key paradigm of sales? You hand somebody something, right? I love it. Here is a card, I'll read it. It's has the Tyler Rose on it, and it says, "You're invited. Meetings on Mondays at noon, First Christian Church, located at the Loop." This is the Tyler, South Tyler Club, and where it meets. And lunch is served, no reservations, no notice required, and a little bit about their club, and contact information if they want to look at Facebook. I love this. This is
wasn't my idea. This was our president.
Whoever did it.
And not just from an invitation standpoint, but a deliberate onboarding process for us to engage. We used to have a red badge. Some clubs still do red badge. Programs, that kind of stuff.
We'll talk about that one too.
Okay.
You could give this presentation.
Next year, you're giving it.
No, thank you, but that's a good segue. But let's go through a couple of things first. Is your membership committee active, or is it just sort of dormant? If it is active and it has vitality and energy around it, then you will be attracting new folks, right? You can go to membership at Rotary Club Central again. You can go to the district website. There is another whole checklist of things that, what is a membership committee, a vibrant membership committee look like? And what do? Do you have this quick elevator speech when asked? Can you give off 3 or 4 big major points, and you only have a floor to go before the person gets out of the elevator? You got that long, 2 seconds, to say who you are and what you do and why it's important that they consider your club. So your elevator speech is important. Everybody's busy. It can't be, a 4-page document. It can be, but I'm not sure anybody's going to read it nowadays, right? But can you just do this quickly? We're a club of about X number of members. We're active in our community, doing humanitarian outreach kinds of programs and other things that are important to the community. We're also engaged on an international level with these kinds of things. We think that we're making a difference. We'd love you to be a part of it. That didn't take long, did it?
No.
But that's the key, is do you have it down? Have you thought about what it is that you want to communicate, and communicate quickly? What do you plan for the future, and are you involved in implementing those plans? Heart to Heart in Mexico, projects in Guatemala, other kinds of things. The Athens Club is heavily involved in water wells and other things in Africa. Have you participated in the visioning team coming to your club? And if it's been a while, you've done it, but it's kind of dusty and it's laying on the shelf somewhere, your plan, have you invited them back to come and redo it?
We're doing that again this year.
It's important to redo it. It's important to refresh it, because things move. This world changes, right? And you accomplish some things. Well, now you want to set your sights for what's next. And the beauty of the visioning committee is they help you to set your own stepping stones to get there, wherever there is. What do you want to be and who do you want to be? And it's a great team. It takes about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours of your time on an evening. You can make it a social event for your club with pizza or Mexican food or something, and I highly recommend that. Yes.
Hey Carol, just, you go ahead.
No, I'm just, as an incoming member for our club, one of the things that I know that I'm gonna do for everybody that we meet is promote the other clubs when we meet people.
Please
so
do.
that- Because,
Not everybody can meet on the day that you meet.
Yes, sir, and I would just submit to you that if we, in that elevator pitch, we have 4 clubs in town, including an E-club that meet virtually, we have a breakfast club, 2 lunch clubs,
Yeah.
and they meet different days of the week. You should, potentially see all of them. We welcome you to our club, but if we cross-recruit, or we're not willing to
Yeah.
just,
We're not in competition. We're not.
Exactly, because
So
if
how do we help
get
each
a
other?
heart-centered servant leader in South Tyler, they're
Yep.
gonna fit in and they can be there and they can, help to build the community, then we've done, building goodwill, better friendships in our community.
We
It's
have.
not all about a race about how many members.
We're not. It's
I mean,
not.
that's what I think.
And that could be a trap.
It's kind of,
It can be a trap.
Yeah, so,
Yes, sir. Over here.
Mini Ola Equipment met about a month and a half ago for a Saturday, and we did our whole visioning program. And it took, both clubs were just kind of went together.
Oh, that's interesting. I've not heard of 2 clubs doing it together. That's a new model. Hey, I bet it was interesting. You heard some things from the other club that maybe your club hadn't thought about, and vice versa, right? We learn from each other. We've had prospective new members come to a visioning exercise in our club and found that they had good ideas, and we incorporated some of those good ideas. And they were not full-fledged members yet, but we heard from them, and they heard from us, and they got excited about being members. Okay.
Carol?
Yes.
Yes, and Nick, one other thing, I just wrote down here some of the things that we've mentioned, but it seemed, does Rotary International, I was just trying to figure out a way where we're checked on some of these issues, so that as a club, we're reminded to do them for a reward, maybe a citation or something. I was just wondering if the Rotary International has a citation that says, you check the boxes for membership orientation, that you have.
If you'll look at that Rotary citation, it does the very thing you're talking about.
And then we work with another club on a project.
Yep,
That's
another
box
one.
check.
That's
But I
another.
mean, do we have a citation that's not for how many members you have, or if you're doing an orientation project, but if you're doing the top 10 things a successful Rotary Club does?
Yeah.
And not how well you're doing them, but just that you do them, because we don't, for instance, I mean, we're the largest club, or one of them, I guess now, we're teetering, and, we don't have an orientation process.
I can help you with that.
I know there's so many resources, but I'm
Right.
saying we're not obligated, because there's nothing that tells us, I mean, we're all autonomous to run our clubs, but it seems like that's such a crucial part.
It is.
And
So,
we're not held accountable to that.
yeah, I'm not trying to cut you off,
No.
just trying to move us forward. There is a Rotary citation. You don't have to check every box. You can decide as a board what it is you really want to concentrate on. If you achieve a certain number of those, somebody help me with the number.
It's 13 and 26.
13 out of some.
26.
13 out of 26?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you pick out what it is you really want to focus on, and you can earn that Rotary citation that helps you to be well-rounded. If there's some places where you are in your human capitalization, if there's some holes in your program or holes in your organization you need to plug and shore up, fine. That could be what you concentrate on for a year, Diane.
I was just gonna also share that, there are a lot of resources on My Rotary, and there's actually a membership
There it
training.
is. There it is.
We know,
Right.
we're just not held accountable to that.
Well, I think the club has to hold themselves a little bit.
So, yeah, let me jump into that. There are no Rotary police.
Right.
Nobody's going to come and say, what did you do? Well, you heard Karen. It is what you and your board decide to do, because the pinnacle of the Rotary organization is the club, and they are all different.
and we want it that way.
Yep.
And if we help each other and we get better every year, the results speak for themselves.
They do. So you hold yourself accountable. One of the most dynamic Rotary clubs I know of in the world is one we work with in Guatemala. There's 14 people, 12 of them are women. And they are all professionals. They're dentists and doctors and architects and lawyers. But when you talk about getting things done, they pull money from all over the U.S. and they accomplish things in their country for people who are hurting and that need help. And our money goes so far. And they do project management. And their meetings are not about a program. Their meetings are project management oriented. They have different members that are responsible for various projects, and each week they report how they're doing. They report progress. They are self-accountable. And because of that, they're one of the most energized, productive Rotary clubs I know of. They're called the Rotary Club of Tikal. They're the only Rotary club in the northern part of Guatemala for 650,000 people. Only one. And they were thought by their district leadership to be a weak club years ago. We had linked with them and have accomplished so many things. Now they're one of the strongest clubs in their district, 4250, which is Honduras, Guatemala, and Belize. So yeah, it is self-accountable, and it is your job to keep your goals active and to be thinking about how well-rounded we are and what are we creating for others. So let's talk about organizing for growth. One more time, your membership committee is, in my view, one of your most important teams. And they need to be your hard chargers. The Burberry Corporation years ago was become stodgy. You know, they're the ones with the tweedy jackets in London and all that kinds of stuff, and beautiful, beautiful clothing. They were doing this way, and their corporate management decided to put younger leadership in charge, but to back up that younger leadership with seasoned veterans so that the younger kids didn't fly the plane into the ground, or they didn't hit some big pothole that they didn't foresee or didn't have the experience to look out for. And so they had these folks checking and helping and mentoring and guiding, and yet the new ideas just energized that organization, and they took off and they've done well. But they looked at this enthusiasm and a youthful view of where you're going, and that gets people involved so that it's not just your old guard, me, your old guard that's leading things and won't relinquish the seat on the leadership team, and nobody else can come along. So mentoring is important. How about your newest members? Are they not your most committed, enthusiastic new members? They just joined you, didn't they?
Carroll, I'll just share it if you don't mind.
Sure, please do. This is a discussion.
When I had been in Rotary, had been a member for less than a year when I was asked to be president for the first time. And I was very, very apprehensive, and I didn't want to say yes. Actually, I didn't say yes. Somebody else said yes.
They said yes for you?
But
you were voluntold.
Yes. In fact, Ralph was the one that did it. But afterwards, I had a very heart-to-heart conversation, and Ralph looked at me and he said, Landon, he said, you don't have to worry about wondering what's going on or anything. You've got a team of people here that support you. You're not doing this thing by yourself. You're basically putting your name on the line, and the rest of us are going to kind of do the work.
Wow.
And I found that I've been president twice officially, 2 years officially and once unofficially. And
you need to spread that around, but go ahead.
It has been true the whole time. New members come in and we put them in positions. They kind of lead the charge, but there's a constant steady state of members that have been around a long time and know how the process works.
There you go.
That keep the ship rolling in the right direction.
And moving in the right direction.
And the new members bring the energy, and it's true.
Agreed.
Yes.
Those newest Rotarians also have friends in your town. They are your most motivated to join your club. You know, why should they not be asking their friends at work or at church or in whatever organization, junior league, I don't care what organizations they are, just think about them. All the different humanitarian organizations around your community, United Way, all the other folks that are leaders, you want them. You want these people to help you attract them because they're already friends. They've already got those connections, right? So you can leverage those connections that these folks have if you put them in leadership on trying to attract others. I've watched clubs do this one terribly. They don't get names pronounced right, they flub it, they ramble, sometimes it's a disaster. And if you're that new visitor and you're there for the first time in front of this crowd of people that you don't know, and maybe you're trying to impress them, maybe you're trying to network with them, maybe you're trying to get your feet on the ground, and you would love to have mentors, if they can't even get your name right, what does that say? Okay, so whoever it is that's doing this for your club, please make sure they're articulate and they are good at it, because that's a first impression.
The same is true of your programs and speakers each week.
Agreed.
Make them feel welcome.
Agreed.
Some of those might become
They might become members. And so if you're not asking your speakers, do you have a Rotary Club in that you're a part of? It might be ours, it might be one of these others across town that are meeting on different days. Yeah, and we gain lots of Rotarians that way. If you have a good orientation program, bless you. If you don't, we're dropping the ball, folks. Because if people don't know what it is they've joined or why they've joined or who you are, that getting people engaged is so vital. It is probably one of the most important things that you do in the first 6 months. Yes?
Carroll, does district run a Rotary Leadership Institute here in District 54?
We do not.
Is
The
there-
programs
is there-
like today's are our equivalent of that. We try to bring leaders to train them who are diverse in their various responsibilities, and we try to do that. There are others that do a better job of that than we.
Sure, but is there any multi-club new member orientation that's happening currently?
Oh,
So-
that's a great idea.
It's a great.
Tyler,
We did that
you do that?
one time.
So I've come to some clubs, and it's not all about me today. But I will say to you, I've spent time researching Rotary all the way back to Paul Harris. And then also bringing it along to give our current vision, our current action plan, all of the newest tools, and the history of Rotary and the whole sweep of Rotary as it's grown, and the Rotary Foundation and all of that. And I can deliver that to your club in about a 25-minute presentation. I've done it 20 times across the district, 22 out of 42 clubs.
And he's dang good at it too.
Please invite me, and then I will leave that presentation with you, and you can use that presentation and tweak it and change it to make it club specific. And now you have the sweep of what Rotary is and has been and what it can be with their participation, and you personalize that and make it work for you. Yes, Diane?
One of the things I would recommend is with orientations, I know in South Tyler, we try to, do them, we were trying to do them like once every other month or something like that. And that just wasn't really working well, because sometimes you wouldn't have anybody join during that period, so you wouldn't have one. I think one-on-one orientations, where you take them out to eat, take them out for coffee, and then ask them, how can we engage you in a club? I think that that's one of the most effective, because you can do it almost immediately in some of the
Agreed.
Rotary clubs.
So our visioning team, not that we're God Almighty, we're not, but our visioning team put together a committee to work on this very thing, to work on orientation. And they want it to be interactive. They want to find out what it is that newest member is interested in. What is it that floats that new member's boat? What is it that new member would love to accomplish if they just had 2 or 3 or 4 people around them, and what might they want to be? And so that orientation is now dynamic in that it is two-way, and it's not just a 15-minute feeding you some information, handing you a document and saying, done, check the box, you're oriented. But it then feeds into now a team that will be thinking about how do we engage that new member in some of the new things that we're thinking about as a club in terms of service opportunities. Yes?
One thing we've implemented in the last 3 or 4 months, and we got it from the Long Beach Rotary Club. It's called 5 o'clock somewhere. It basically is a social / happy hour.
Yeah, adult beverages probably.
It's once a month. It's Rotary. It's Rotary, yeah, and once a month. So we do that, and we try, because we know our young people, and this is part of kind of a networking thing, I guess you could
Okay.
say. That some of our young people who love to go to happy hours after work.
Sure they do.
They love to
Young
meet
professionals.
everybody, kind of what we call off duty. because we don't have time to do it in an hour and a half.
You don't.
Thursday afternoon.
You don't.
So, and what we've been doing it with this restaurant called Hobbies.
Okay.
Really popular.
So
The
accelerate a little for me.
Yeah, the owner is Scott Williams, he's a member of
Mhm.
South Tyler. We're having it on Tuesday,
Okay.
23rd, because Scott Williams has invited a lot of his, or is going to invite a lot of people from South Tyler
Okay.
to this event. We love Sunrise also to come.
Be great.
Because most of us don't know these other members.
Agreed.
I would just like to propose for the membership, at least in the Tyler area, or maybe our AG, a three-phase program. One, there's a one-on-one, which is the mentor process, whether that's Red Badge or something else. Two, some type of club orientation, multi-club orientation, I think works best, because clubs individually don't like, the AG was saying, don't necessarily add that, but if we did it once a quarter together. And then if district would either think or consider about an RLI or some type of onboarding at the district level so that we can cross-fertilize and just accelerate the head-to-heart movement for our new membership.
Good idea.
Love to explore that with the
Okay.
upcoming team.
I'll write that down at the end and we'll think some about it. Agreed. Okay, we really talked about this mentoring thing. I think you've got that. That's a key piece. Tiffany's going to tell you about all these, so we'll defer that to her presentation. But if you're not integrated on all of your social media and your website and your other Instagram and Facebook and all that, if that's not integrated, that is where people are looking.
I will say, when I first moved to Tyler 11 years ago, and I was looking for organizations to get involved, that's what I did. And if their webpage had not been updated recently,
Yeah.
there was nothing that reflected, I was like, they're not interested in appealing to new people because they're not taking the time to update.
Yeah, the latest entry's a year old.
Yeah.
And and if somebody's, I'm not gonna make a disparaging comment, but if somebody's above 30, they're not gonna do it real well, so. Okay.
It works, and new people are coming just based on the Facebook and Eventbrite.
You're the exception.
Here's one. We're doing this as a part of our visioning.
I love that.
Our newest members in the last 6 months, we're putting them together as a group and saying, what is it you'd like to accomplish? And we're gonna put some mentors and some people with you, and then we're gonna give you X number of dollars, and we want you to accomplish this project, and we're gonna fund it. And we're gonna help you with leadership development and know how to go after project management, how to go after doing a project. If you don't think that engages new people and gets them on board, especially if it's a heart-related kind of a thing in your community that they're fired up about, I will submit to you that this may be the most important thing you might think about as you leave today, is how do we get our newest members on board doing something that matters. And yeah.
Real quick,
Okay, please.
real quick, I want to ask these other clubs in here. When you choose a president, is it by vote of the membership, or is it?
The way it works is you have
suggestion
a leadership team as a part of your board that looks and puts together a slate of prospective officers, and then you bring that, you talk to each of those people, and are you willing to do this, and are you passionate about the role that we're asking you to serve in? If you get a yes on that, then you go to your club, probably your last meeting of the year, and you elect that slate of new officers as prospective officers for the next Rotary year. That's all part of the Rotary bylaws and should be a part of the bylaws of your club.
But it's not popular vote, is it? Sometimes by the club, or?
Usually the club assembly by Rotary International bylaws.
It's
does
club
in
assembly.
December, and the nominating committee produces the president. The president asks, or PDGN,
Right.
the president for the club.
I have seen clubs have folks with nominations from the floor
Exactly.
when they felt strongly about that, and those are considered, and yes, that is a popular vote, 50 plus
But
1%.
it's not just the ex-presidents bringing
No.
their people
No,
up
no.
to plug them in.
No, in fact, your president-elect leads that leadership selection team, because that's gonna be their team. Okay? Engagement. Do you have, and this is important, do you have a variety of service projects, small and large, that is constantly, routinely being upgraded and changed? Because anything gets old with time. And yet, some things are so important, they may be something you choose to do over time. Rotary clubs in Longview have gotten together for the last, now we're starting our 4th year, working with the East Texas Food Bank and handing out food. We did it yesterday to 46 families. If you multiply that by 2.7, that's just over 2,000 people that we touched yesterday in a 2-hour period of time. Over those 3 years, we have touched 64,000 people, handing them much needed food because of the food insecurity in our region and the need to bridge that gap somehow. And Rotarians and now church members and people from all kinds of organizations, financial organizations, bringing their young professionals. And we're getting people involved that really aren't even Rotarians yet, and they're finding out, well, Rotary's involved in this humanitarian outreach. I ought to be a part of it. We've gained so many new members, and they already have this heart for service because they already helped us hand food to people and put it in their cars. Okay, so think about what it is you want to be. Think about what it is you want to represent. Think about your DNA. And think about these projects are ways that you keep people engaged. Do you, and here it is, possibly that first hands-on experience might be before they even are members. And now they already get a sense of who you are because they've rolled up their sleeves and helped do something that's important to you all. There are some clubs that the only service outreach they do in their whole year is to give about 4, 5, 6 scholarships to high school seniors. And bless them, they need them. Kids need that money. But is that the only thing you're doing? I would suggest to you that the multiplicity of what you can accomplish and might accomplish needs to be multidimensional, is a good word. How do you form these enduring friendships? It starts early. If that person who has just joined you is isolated and they are not engaged with others, and there's no plan for helping them to do that through club socials or family get-togethers or service project things, come go with me, we're going to go do this together. If there isn't a plan for that, it will fall to the wayside and you will not get those people engaged. You'll lose them out the back door. Do you have regular socials for family members? I scooped myself. Family organization. Yes, going to the watering hole's fine. I just drank a fair amount of Guinness over in Ireland. It's pretty good stuff. And
it's the best Guinness in the world, by the way.
but I'm telling you, if that's all you do, you're missing the boat. If it's just going to the watering hole, you're missing the boat. And that is value. So I'm not just making a disparaging comment. So think about this. You're planning for how do you deliver value to your members, as diverse as they are. They're young, they're old, they're multi-gendered, they're different ethnicities. One of the finest Rotarians that I know, one of my deep personal friends, is Malik Latif from Mount Pleasant. And he is a Muslim from Pakistan. He has been an assistant governor. He just wrote us a big check to help us with a preschool in Guatemala. Just an individual check. And is a personal friend through Rotary. He and I differ in our religious views. That's okay. Because it's his character and I'll just use him, it's his heart. And I would go to battle with him to do anything that might happen. Because although he has differences from me, Rotary has brought us together. Okay? Do you have this plan for finding out new members' interests? We talked about that might be a part of your onboarding process. That is unique to you and your club. Yes, it could be done multi-club. I'm not going to be negative about that. If you have, especially smaller clubs that don't have the resources to maybe do it themselves, that'd be all right. But there are specific pieces and parts to your DNA that are unique to you. Every Rotary club is different. So think about this, and how do you figure out those interests, and how do you listen with both ears, because that's people telling you what's important to them. I'm going to accelerate the finish. Do you have an active effort to give every member a job and to keep them busy? This membership committee might be the first job they get on, but if it's the first thing, then they're already active. They're already on something. Okay? Do you have these quarterly club assemblies where people that are new, you've been in Rotary a week, ma'am? Wow, you know, in Quitman, there's a lot that you need to know and learn about what it is that your club is doing. There you go. I'm so glad you're here. You know, if more like you were here, then that might be part of what the gentleman behind you's been talking about. This could become and morph into this kind of onboarding or leadership thing. Please, 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 don't forget to brag about yourselves as a club. Could be in those quarterly club assemblies. Help your members feel proud of what it is that they accomplish and what they're doing. I hear people that do brags and they pay $1 and they brag about their grandchild. But you know, it brings clubs together. Is it a part of what the Rotary Club's doing? No. But is it important to that individual? Yes. And everybody claps and everybody's proud for the grandchild, lots of questions. And you form relationships that way. Bragging about someone, maybe to their face, is not a bad idea either. Socials, we've talked about those. Do you put the folks on jobs for which they have interests? Please, please, please do not put somebody in a job that they don't give a fig about. Because A, the job won't get done, and B, they'll be bored and they'll be disenchanted and they're forced to do something they don't want to do. Don't do that.
Or the job will get done, but it'll make your club look bad in the community.
Okay?
Because they didn't care about what they were
They
doing.
might have done a poor job of it. Yeah. And so that's important for the board to be shoring up. Whatever these jobs are, you have very regular reports on how things are going. And if somebody needs some help, folks, you can put people around somebody. Maybe they're struggling. They may have a life event. And we all do. They may have distracted them and taken them out for a little bit. Do you update your club on some of these really major things? Dareth has talked about Rotary Club Central, and does it have information for us? And oh yes, it does. And how do we learn about polio, and why is that important to us, and all of that. So I'll just say to you, these are some pictures from Guatemala. A team of 10 of us across the district went and put on a health clinic, general health, dentistry, eye clinic, and other pieces and parts of that to a little village in northern Guatemala and full of children. And we saw that. That is their preschool. We said to the club, I wouldn't put my dog in there. I might be afraid the building would fall in on it. That's their preschool. We came back. Well, first we asked the community, the village fathers, leaders, what would it take for us to help you build a new preschool? They said, well, we can do the work, and the Tikal Rotary Club architects can design it, and we just need the money. We don't have the money in our community. And we said, well, how much do you think it would be for haydite blocks and metal roof, sheet metal roof, and all of that? About $15,000. Folks, we have already raised the $15,000 across the district with different clubs helping us, and individuals, by the way. I mentioned Malik Latif and others like him. And then a gentleman that's here today just pledged another 10. So not only might we put a building up, and we anticipate we will, but we will put a solar collector on the roof, and we will drop a cord down, and we will power one or more of those, and we can help through the Rotary Club there at Tikal, who has curriculum they could put on that computer for math, science, geography, world history, all kinds of things that those little kids in that village never would see. And we're going to do that for about $25,000. We just have been back since October. We have the means in Rotary to accomplish anything we want to accomplish. I would submit to you that if any of your club considers and wanted to send people on some of these international service things, those folks will come back. These 10 people who went have come back so on fire, so excited that it is palpable. And we will, when we go back in February of next year, we will likely see that new preschool standing. We can do anything we want to do in Rotary. club can do anything you want to do. We've had clubs that have donated $100 to the project. And we've had others that have had the means and are pulling out of some of their families' financial IRAs and are doing a charitable distribution to this project. It's amazing. So I will just say to you in summary, and I'm going to get out of the way so Tiffany can start. This membership thing is important. How you go about it is vital. How you organize for it is vital. And it takes all of these various steps that we've talked about today, and any and all of us are available to help you in any of these ways you would like us to help. I will email you this presentation. Sorry. And we can also be in conversation. If you'd like me to come and do this Rotary history thing that you can use for onboarding, and you can tweak it to make it work for your club, happy to do it.
Carol,
Okay.
I wanted to say, and applaud, thank you for the information, but you can tell your heart. But I want to say, it occurred to me that Rotary changed your life.
It has.
I saw it change you and your leadership and jumping right in. And I would say to you, if you haven't, write your story. I think people like reading stories and knowing firsthand accounts than they do all the rules and regulations and intros that we could ever do. Because those personal accounts are meaningful this day and age. People just want those microwave reports.
Yeah.
And I think write your story if you have one and turn it into your president or turn it into
It's an excellent idea.
magazine. And let's just have Rotary stories. Because I know you have one. Maybe they've written about you and I haven't seen it.
They have. They
You
have.
need
But,
to I'd love to read it.
there are awards in Rotary, and there are things that have occurred that I never would have dreamed about at the Rotary International level. And it's because some people submitted my name for some of that. And it's, again, it is not about me. It is about all of what we can accomplish collectively. And each one of you can do more than you ever thought possible through this organization that you're a part of. I'm going to stop, and Tiffany,